Okay, welcome back. This one should be a pretty short video. Just a few things we need to do. So, do make sure that you've closed both roster overview. I'll save it again. And roster details, and I would save it again. And that's just another table I've been messing with, so don't worry about that. But make sure that those two are closed. And then open up SQL Server Management Studio. Go ahead and connect. Okay, in SQL Server Management Studio, if you expand your databases, you'll need a database called... bear with me. I think I have mine under the Every League project, or Every League project. And then within that, the table that I'm mostly building everything off of are, the two are JAM for Jamaica, 1415 details, and JAM 1415 overview. I'm going to try to write a quick little query that will build those tables for you so that you have the structure already. I'll try to upload those and provide that code right around wherever I post this video at. But at any rate, if you have that already, then what you're going to do is load those scripts that I provided with the Web Content Extractor projects. Go ahead and load those three, and we're basically going to go through them in order. So this is a bulk insert, and it's asking what do we want to insert into. Well, we're working with Egypt, so we'll do EGY. We'll build the formatting from the Jamaica table, and then truncate table basically just deletes all the data from the table originally. So it looks at what's in the Jamaican overview table, copies the formatting, but deletes all the data so that we don't have the Jamaican players in the Egyptian table. And for each one of these that you build, you'll have to go in and change these little details. So obviously the last time I did this and saved, I was working with the Japanese league. This time I'm working with the Egyptian one. So those are the things that I have to go in and change. So bulk insert. Keeping your naming conventions consistent will help you considerably in terms of saving time. So I didn't change the years because it would have meant changing, retyping some things a little bit differently. Okay, so that all looks fine. EGY. EGY. So all I did was just format this first script so that it's ready to create the Egyptian tables. And there's one other little mistake here, actually, which is that this is going to expect me to read from a text file. So if I ran this right now, it's actually not going to find a text file because I saved it as a CSV. So we actually need to reopen the Egyptian files and fix that. So let's open details. Oops. Ignore that. F12 for save as, and then save it as a Unicode text. Okay? And then we need to do the same thing for overview. So that was details. F12, save as type Unicode text. A little sluggish. Okay, and then again, remember to close these. Okay, so now we can run the script and it will insert both of those tables. We have a little problem. Let's see. Egypt League roster overview.txt doesn't exist. So it's specifically the overview one that it's not finding for some reason. Oh, it's Egypt Premier League, so I misspelled the name a little bit. So that complicates it a little bit. Let me see. It would have run some of this script, but not all of it. So if we just tried to run it again, it would it would have some additional difficulties. So for instance, select into queries wouldn't work anymore because there's already a table named with this name. So let's think. It probably got to about here, so I think if we just highlight from here down and run it from there, it should work. It looks like it worked for the first one, but not for the second one for the same reason. Okay. Another good argument for maintaining your naming conventions. There we go. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I did that correctly. So that's why I include these select star from EGY details and this one up here, select star from EGY overview. I just want to make sure that I got all the data. So when I run this, I've got 452 rows. That's how many players, that's how many URLs we had, so that looks good. When I run that, I have 452 rows, so that looks good. So we got all the data in. I'm happy. We can close this. Don't need to save it. Don't worry about it. Let's go on to the second one. Again, we'll have to change some of the table names. So the last one when I saved this was the TNT, the Trinidad and Tobago tables. So let's go ahead and go through and change everything where it says TNT to EGY. These things with 2 dashes in front of them mean that it's commented out. It won't actually run any of that script. Alright. So we're just going through and finding everywhere where it tries to reference a table that I made with the TNT prefix, and instead trying to make sure that I change all of those to EGY. You can also do a quick search in the current document, see if we can find any TNTs. Those are commented out, so we got them all. Alright, so what this script does is just basically join those two tables together. So we have the roster details, we have the roster overviews, we want them all on one line together. So this script just puts it all together into one combined table, hopefully with 452 rows. And we have 506 rows, and I'm not sure why. So that's a little problem. That's surprising, actually. That probably means that we have a duplicate somewhere. And that's not necessarily a good thing. But, I'll tell you what, let's leave it for now. Because Excel is a little bit easier at working with duplicates, in my opinion. So let's leave that for now and just go ahead and format it. We know that we're a little off. Actually, a lot off. And we'll figure that out in a minute. Anyway, so we got that. And then we go on to this third script. And I think that's the only thing we need to change. There we go. Still 506 rows, even though we wish we had 452. Okay, so that was the third thing we needed to run. Now we've got our data formatted. We've got a duplicates problem somewhere. I'm not sure where, but we can figure that out. So let's go ahead and use Control-A. When we click down here and hit Control-A, and then Control-Shift-C, it will grab all this data as well as the column headings. And we can put that in a new Excel document. I have one specifically that I like to use, which is this convert SQL to RM15 script. So I'm going to open that one and put it all in there. And my easy vid recorder is in the way. As you can see, I had the Beijing, I had the China League in here before. I will also provide this document to you guys because there's a nifty little macro for doing a bunch of formatting ahead of time. So you just hit this little button and it should copy everything over, and Bob's your uncle. So now, we may have another issue though, because it reduced us down to 307 rows. And I'm not exactly sure if that's because it removed all those duplicates. I think that's what it did, is it found a lot of duplicates and just reduced us down to that size. Or if it omitted some data somehow. So we can do a couple of sanity checks here just to see what it did. So I'm going to copy all of this over into a blank column and then just remove the duplicates for just that row and make sure that I have 20 teams still. I have data for at least 20 teams. Okay, so we actually have data for 16 teams, so we're missing 4 teams, and I'm not sure why. That's a bit surprising. One other thing that we can do is if we just come down here and look at EGY combined. So that's that data, but we want specific data from it. Let's do just the team. So select just the team, but we want distinct team. So select distinct team from EGY combined will give us 20 rows. Okay, so there was some problem with the way that I imported the data that led to it deleting 4 teams. That helps me isolate that my problem was with the Excel macro, not with the SQL script. So if we go back here and we get all this data again, we can try to import it a little bit differently. So let's Control A, Control Shift C. We can delete all this crap because it isn't right. Actually, here's part of the problem. So there is a considerable space between the two. So that's probably part of it. 461. Tell you what, let's start over anyway. Yeah, so let's just import this again anyway. So let's try this one more time. Copy this over. Yeah. I think I know what one of my issues was. Don't use Control-Shift-C. Just use Control-C because we already have headers in here. So let's try that. So that's a bit cleaner. And we have 506. That was my problem. Okay. It's always good to include your mistakes in these videos so that other people can learn from them. So that was one of mine. So we still have a duplicates problem. Let me work on that in the next video because I think I'm running a little bit high on time on this one.